It's a new week of SDH AM. John, hear you there. Hair's not too bad. Okay, so I don't have to spend like 9 minutes on vanity this morning. It's another go week, another go round, another week of SDH AM. Busy week here on the network. And just to give you a breakdown as to what's going to happen, remember our high school coverage starts tomorrow. Drew Dickinson and I will be up at River Ridge for Roswell and River Ridge at 6 and 8. And we'll come on a couple minutes before each match, let you know what's going on. Easiest way to get all of that activity is go to our website, soccerdownhere.net, go to the watch tab, and it will let you know which network, which channel of ours is up and running with live content. Like if you were to do it right now, you would see that we're up and running with the morning show. So when it comes to our Mixler platform and our live events, it'll be right there, soccerdownhere.net. Go to watch. You'll see which Mixler channel's up and running. You hit that, game's going. So Roswell and River Ridge, we get to catch up with them last year for those that might have forgotten. And if I could find my sheet of paper, I'd let you know where it is. Oh, here it is. It's on the legal pad. It's not on the binder. It was boys winning the state championship in 5A for River Ridge and the girls winning in 5A for Roswell. So that crossover is going to happen tomorrow on the campus of River Ridge High School. We'll be there for that one. And can't thank both of those schools enough for having us out there to kick off our high school coverage. Wednesday is the return of the Red Clay Soccer Report, the noon Wednesday hour where we go through everything in high school. It looks like it's going to be Kelly Bowler, the head coach for Johns Creek. He's going to join us. Tyler Mayer, the head coach at Lake Coconee Academy, is going to join us. We're trying to find somebody at 12:20 to come and hang out with us for a bit. But Red Clay Soccer Report, the noon Wednesday high school show, comes back this week, and we'll break everything down for you in between guests and such. Now, Creek Cup is our real kickoff of the season. Both of the Mixler channels will be up and running, SDH 1 and 2. And that is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that is chaos personified because it is a tournament that has been put together, and this is why we have Kelly Bowler coming on Wednesday, because it is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It is boys and girls action at Johns Creek and at Northview. We'll have all of the matches for you. Maddie and Jason will be at Johns Creek. Drew and I will be at Northview. And so we'll have that for you with all of that. And it is, just to give you an idea as to who's in the tournament this year, girls side, it's Campbell, Dunwoody, Johns Creek, and Northview. Boys side, some real interesting ones this time around. I guess this technically is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. As I've sit here and break everything down for another week, and things are flying around all over the place. We start your day with the most important stories in the game, and the right way to start your morning, Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Boys side, Kell, Chattahoochee, Campbell, Carrollton. Those four will be playing each other at Northview on the and at Johns Creek in a bit of a crossover. They're all in one bracket, and they're going to kick off on the 12th at 6 and 8. There's a secondary bracket. Lee County comes in for the first time in the tournament. Johns Creek is going to play them on Friday at 8. Friday at 6, Gilmer County is going to take on Dunwoody. We'll be at Gilmer later on in our season. Then it is at Northview. It is Islands and GMC, two heavyweights from the mid-state, from the coast. And then it's Northview and Tallulah Falls taking on each other at 8 o'clock. So it's going to be Kell, Chattahoochee, Campbell, Carrollton, Lee County, Johns Creek, Gilmer, and Dunwoody, Tallulah Falls, Northview, Islands, GMC. That's boys. And on the girls' side, Campbell, Dunwoody, Johns Creek, and Northview. All at Creek Cup this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here on the network. SDH 1 and 2 will be working in overdrive. All right, it is 10 after, so let me do my closing read. Opening kickoff brought to you by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. We start your day with the most important stories in the game Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee is part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. It's that time when we bring in Abe Gordon, who is properly hydrated. I have to ask about the running of the weekend, sir. How did it go?
Yeah, actually, I'm in about as good a form as I possibly could be, which is actually the problem is because I have to kind of like hold form to an extent for 3 more weeks. I did 21 miles on Thursday.
Wow.
I did a very hilly sub 50 10K on Saturday. And then I ran like 7 and change this morning with the run club. So feeling pretty good, and just kind of gotta hold form, I guess, and make sure we don't get hurt over the next 3 weeks.
Yes, no, that would be bad. You're a braver man than I. That's all I'm going to say. I leave all the running to you. You run enough for the both of us, and that's good.
Yeah.
Torneo de Tejas is underway out in Texas, otherwise known as the Tournament of Texas, I guess. Torneo de Tejas. I have here's your highlights, by the way, from Atlanta and Houston. And there you go. There's your highlights. The match was not streamed, so
No.
Atlanta United came through and they had they had photographs and they did have ground level video, but Houston did not do active play-by-play in this match. It was a 1-1 draw. They go to PKs to determine who gets the extra point in this tournament format, and it was 4-3, and the home side gets the extra point in this, but, we do have a goal from Latte Lot in the preseason. So one of the points that you have been making, and I guess we all have been making across the board, we need to see this. We saw it going up against Houston Dynamo on the weekend.
Well, and I think we would have seen it at more times last year if he just could have had any consistency in health. And unfortunately, that was part of it. And again, got off to a great start, first 2-3 games, and then it really never refound that form. Tough to see exactly how it developed based on the atrocious angle that I saw, but looks like he's still got the speed that he was brought over here with, and kind of a sliding finishing touch to get it past the keeper. And again, with the movement of Jamal Tiare now, that it's a done deal. It's just him up top, and you have to be reliant on him, and he's got to be involved, and he's got to stay healthy. But outside of that, it's obviously a good start. Again, unfortunately, I couldn't see the buildup. I didn't see if it was a turnover, that was a quick play into Latte Lot, or exactly how it developed. But somehow they got him in on goal, and he used the speed. He used some strength to, it looked like, to hold off the defender from there and finish the drill. And it's just, again, it's an exhibition season. It's a preseason match, and so it needs to carry over, but be a lot more problematic if he had gotten there and then missed a sitter or something like that. So based on what we saw, I mean, that's what we're going to need, because he's the guy now up top, at least centrally, because of the movement of Jamal Tiare, and we'll see who's flanking him and who's doing what elsewhere, how the midfield looks. But if you were to told me, hey, someone's going to score a goal, who do you want it to be? It would be him, based on what Atlanta United's going to need as we enter the season. Just what are we, 2 weeks away now?
12 days, yeah, 21st. And Will Riley gets credit for the assist as they were working up the left-hand side, and then you end up with the finish from Latte Lot. And I think that you bring up an important point when it comes to transfers and understanding it, because you saw this with Alexei Miranchuk. You saw it with Miggy when he came from Newcastle. You have that carryover because the schedules are staggered and European play is still going on. You know, when you bring something in, you don't get that break that you normally would get if you just play a season and you rest. You had Latte Lot come in. He was coming in off of his schedule in the championship. You get that the continued timetable, and there's going to be that time, and it's a term that you are quite familiar with. There's going to be that moment where you bonk, and runners bonk all the time. I think you hit your bonk at what, about the 27-mile mark traditionally, when you hit that point where it's just an absolute crash. You hit that wall, and you've got to figure out how to push through it when you're a runner and a professional athlete, And there are times when it just takes a long time to get through that, to understand how much more you've got left in you. As an athlete, Latte Lot hit that point, and it was just, injuries, recovery. It was just this collision of factors with that, from him coming in, from not having any kind of rest at all.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, and we're obviously impatient because you bring a guy in at a high price and you expect him to deliver. And look, just being honest, he did not deliver a season ago. But I also think there is something to learning the league and going through it over the course of your first year, and kind of some of the changes you can make into year two. Now, a lot of that would have depended on him being healthy and consistent over the course of the season, which we also didn't get that. But hopefully there's a little bit more understanding of what works, what doesn't work in the MLS compared to in England, and in some of the changes he may have made in his game, while also becoming more familiar with new teammates, potentially a little bit of a new system, new responsibilities, stuff like that. So, look, it was always going to be a work in progress. And here's part of the problem, John, and I'm as guilty as I think a lot of people are. We hear these rumors, and we hear a guy connected to Atlanta United. And so what do? You go to YouTube and you type in Latte Loth highlights.
Yep.
All right. We're judging a guy based off of the 18 seconds of his finest performance in this match or that match.
But you're not going to put, for a huddle tape, you're not going to sit there and go, oop, there's a turnover.
I'm aware. But I do also think that just builds you up to be like, man, this guy scored goals left and right. Well, yeah. You watched 30 different matches, cramped down into 3 minutes of goals. You didn't watch, him give up on this play or a turnover here. And I just think with everyone, it's not Latte Loth, by the way. This is like with everyone. Yeah. I saw it with the Baez as well. I was like, here's a minute 10 of him making tackles. Cool, man. Like, great. He can make a tackle. I'm sure he didn't play a perfect match there. I'm sure he probably got beat as well. They decided not to show that. And so we always just end up seeing the best and just think, oh, look, this guy's going to run right by everyone in the MLS. I just watched 90 seconds of him running by guys in England. So I do think there's a little bit, and again, I'm guilty too. I'm not blaming anyone else here. I'm just kind of being like, oh, this guy's going to wreak havoc. And so it didn't happen last year, and obviously you just hope that it's a little bit more on track. I think the first step, though, is just the consistency and the health. I think you can work through some issues on the pitch, but you've got to be on the pitch. And that was part of the issue last year, here and there, healthy, not healthy. And so it was unfortunate, and hopefully it looks like a little bit healthier now for Latte Loth. Look, you got to be playing heading into the preseason to expect to play week one. So here we go.
And it's amazing what happens when you get a break. You get a kind of breath a little bit,
yeah,
acclimated to everything. You did mention Elias Baez. That's officially official, and that will give the competition on the left-hand side. As we were discussing in the Twitch pitch, there was one particular account that was giving updates, and I do not have an update on this particular posting, but it looked like Dominic Chonqui had to be taken off the field. Don't know the extent of it, a knee injury or whatever. Literally, it's just like 3 lines, DCQ, taken off the field in the 55th minute. So we don't know anything. It's just off to the side. It's an event that happened within the structure of the match. But now Baez is introduced into the competition there at left back with DCQ and with Pedro Amador. Brings a different skill set, or just a different idea with what he was asked to do at San Lorenzo, where he's more of a stay-at-home. He may not necessarily jump into the play as much, but he adds a different dynamic, something else to think about. We know what Pedro Amador can do, bombing up the left-hand side, but Elias Baez, from the huddle reels that we've seen, more of a stay-at-home guy, not afraid to mix it up. So you get that to look at here for the remainder of the preseason heading into 26.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if this is something where Tata wants to pick a guy, and that's my guy for the season, and in other situations, we may replace him as a sub. Let's just say for the moment he goes with Baez. If you're down a goal, maybe you bring on Pedro Amador to help out the attack. Or is it something where, and the flip side, if he picks Amador and you've got a lead late, maybe you bring Baez to sturdy it up. It can go either way. Or is it something where he kind of looks at the opponent and kind of looks at some weaknesses and kind of looks at how you're going to maybe be playing in that given match. And you kind of mix and match Amador or Dom Chonqui if he's healthy, or Baez, and kind of based on, well, we think we can get more attack on the left side against this team, so let's start Amador, or we need to lock down the left side, so we go Baez. It will be interesting to see what the mindset is there. But again, two players with some varying strengths and weaknesses to their game, and it allows you to do a number of different things. And now the concern for me in playing kind of that mindset of mix and match is a little bit of lacking consistency on that side. I think you'd want to find a consistency where your back line is the same as often as possible, and how they connect with the midfield is the same as often as possible. But if you're only rotating two in based on, I think you could probably work around that. So, yeah, it is going to be interesting. I'm personally a fan of the flexibility of saying, here's how we want to play against this team. Here's how we want to play the first 60 minutes and then maybe switch it up later. So I like the idea of having a number of different guys that can rotate in based on what you're looking for in a specific match against a specific opponent. But we'll see what Tata wants to do. I mean, obviously this was a move with Baez that was brought in with specific purpose and with a mind and an idea already at hand once he got here. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And I think that just on the surface, without game state being introduced to any of this,
yeah,
I think that if you go back four and it's Baez, center back, Tomas Jakob, then what you do is that it allows Jakob to go forward more and engage, and you turn the dial one slot around, and that slides your three in, and that helps you out. So you've got three to defend if Jakob goes forward. You're not losing anything if someone like Baez or Baez in game state, that left back stays. It just rolls over one notch, and that helps you out.
Yeah, and I think game state, I look, we've seen this team go 3 in the back, 5 in the back, 4 in the back, whatever you want it to do. They have rotated what they've done both in a match here or there, or for stretches of matches based on what's been working. And again, I know that was under different leadership, and we'll see if Tata kind of, as you say, spins the wheel there along the backside as well. But look, I just think, and I've mentioned this going way back, just flexibility at your positions is so important. I am concerned up top. You don't have a lot of flexibility. It's latte la, and that's it in terms of high-level MLS who I trust. I trusted Jamal Tiere, right? He's not here. That was your backup. It's like what we saw, all season long across the NFL. Like, you got to have a quality backup quarterback. You're going to be forced to use them at times. And so same thing at the various positions across an MLS roster. And so, again, I think that the competition at that position and all of them only serves to better this team. I think it drives people. It's nice to an extent have to look over your shoulder, have to step up your performance and know that if you're not, as good as you can be and driven, that you can be replaced. And I think that keeps everyone alert. It keeps everyone in top form. So it is going to be interesting to see. Again, for me as a guy that for the moment, and we'll see how the season starts out, I want to be a little bit more aggressive. I want to be a little bit more attacking. And so just at a moment's glance, I would be keeping Amador in there and trying to keep pushing up high. But look, they're not every team is just out there to score 2, 3, 4 goals every match, and that's how they win. There are plenty of teams across MLS that are just going to have to sit there and say, boy, if we can get one, we feel pretty good. And if that's the case, maybe it is going to be Baez. And so you kind of vibe out the team and just feel what they think is their best opportunity to win, being stronger in the back or putting more numbers forward and go from there. But again, it's a different roster. We can't just look at what it looked like when Tata was here years ago and just be like, well, they're just going to run that back. You don't necessarily have what you had at that time. And so I don't think you just copy and paste it from the 2018.
Yeah, and I wrote down in quotation marks, vibe out the team. Have that as that's going to be like your quote going forward here. A couple of matches left in the Torneo de Tejas, one on Wednesday, one on Saturday to get ready. You mentioned competition. I think obviously the left attacking midfielder / winger is another competition point. Some combination of, as you were discussing with left back, some combination of Pedro Baez, DCQ. You're looking at least until the whistle blows, something akin to Saba or Luke on the left, Miggy on the right. Miggy wandering in centrally, or point guard is Alexi in the middle and Miggy's off to the right-hand side. So the midfield is one of those where you're kind of sitting there going, okay, I have all of these pieces here. Whistle blows, fine, do whatever you're going to do. The graphic is going to say what the graphic's going to say, and that's accurate until the clock starts.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on like who the top 5 are going to be. And not necessarily who they're going to be, but where they're going to be. Like, I understand in theory what might happen, but like once you get your 2 defensive middies, like where Latte Loth lines up, where Miggy lines up, where Moranchuk lines up, if it's going to be Jay Fortune with him, if it's Saba, if it's Luke, I've kind of given up on trying to figure out where they're going to line up, because I've just seen every sort of possibility out there. It's like spinning that 18-sided die. Like, you really do have a lot of options there. And I don't know how it's going to look. Like, I don't know if they're going to go with a traditional like left attacker, or if they're going to kind of leave Moranchuk on the left or Miggy on the left and kind of do a little bit different shape in the midfield than what we've seen in recent years. I'm not entirely sure this is going to be a traditional looking attack. And so based on that, it's really hard to kind of predict what we're going to be. Like, I've been working on the rundown, just kind of getting things set for, opening kickoff, as you mentioned, in 12 days. And I'm kind of like, normally I have like a likely lineup, like a likely formation and starters. And I was like, I don't actually know what I can fill in right now. Like, I don't know who to fill in at goalkeeper yet. I don't know who my center back pairing is going to be yet. I don't know who's at left. I kind of know a couple of names that are going to be in there, but I don't know where necessarily. So it's a jumble. It's a mess. And it kind of has me excited to see ultimately what Tata decides for match day 1, because I really don't have like a good predictive idea of what it's going to look like. If we played a traditional midfield, I think I could fill it in, but I'm not convinced that they're going to. And so it's going to be interesting to see exactly where everyone shapes up.
So you dropped this, 2 minutes before the end of your segment. Obviously we talked about left back. I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, probably in a perfect world, you're thinking Mihai and Gregerson with Jakob, and that being your back 4, your 2 6s, probably because you don't know the health of Jay Fortune. You're looking at what, Alzate and Tristan probably is your 2 6s. Then you're looking at midfield attack of Miggy and Alexi and a left, and then Latte Lot up top. How far off am I where you are?
Well, the question is Alexi going to be central, or are you going to push him on the left side and maybe bring someone else into the midfield? I think it's not what I would do. Again, I would stick with a more traditional midfield, but I have seen some thought as to maybe it's not Luke or Saba, but someone else in the midfield, and Moranchuk is pushed further onto the left side. So that's not how I would do it, but I do think it's kind of out there. It's an idea that's kind of been floated out there, and we'll see where ultimately they fit. I think, obviously, and you and I have talked about Moranchuk for a while now. Obviously, the term maestro was used multiple times over the course of last season. I just think he's so valuable in the midfield. I think if you were to push him on the left side, it's like, again, we just watched the Super Bowl last night. If a quarterback rolls to the right, you're taking away half the field. And I think if you push Moranchuk too far to the left, you're kind of taking away the fact that he could go to either side with the ball. There's only a certain part of the field he can play through at that point. And so I think you lose a little bit of what makes him great, the vision, the touch, the idea of what to do there. And so I would keep him central and go more traditional with Luker Saba, Miggy on the right, and Latte Loth, tip of the spear there. But it'll be interesting to see if that's ultimately what they plan. And also how much of that depends on what they do at left back. Are you a little bit different up top left if you go with Pedro, maybe more offensive, who can get up the wing and replace that run? Or you have to get a guy who's going to take advantage on the left if you're going with Baez, who may not be in support there. So a lot of things to consider still.
Yeah, and so we get to juggle all these chainsaws for another couple of weeks before we get to the regular season. As always, my friend, great to see you. Great to break everything down, to kick things off every single week. By the next time you come back, we're talking about regular season stuff then.
Yeah, and hopefully two of these matches will actually be streamed so I can actually give you some real thoughts on what I saw versus just here's an 8-second highlight from a terrible angle. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much here. It really is crazy. And we're just gearing up. Atlanta United is kicking off the season on national TV. I mean, that's awesome. Like that's so cool. And so, yeah, we're here. We're ready to get these games counting and make sure everyone gets to just like me with my marathon. These guys with the preseason, the exhibition. Let's just the next week plus next 2 weeks. Let's just get healthy to week one. Like that's my goal. Like I'm lowering the mileage. I'm going a little bit slower. Let's just get to the marathon healthy. Let's just get to that kickoff on match day one healthy and go from there.
Well, he said, Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. As always, my friend, great to see you, partner. We'll catch up with you next week.
You got it. Thanks, John.
There goes Abe. Abe in a marathon. I'm good at driving marathons. I'm good at driving 26 miles in a sitting, 13 back and 13 out and 13 back. I'm good at that. But the whole walking a marathon, I probably could do it. Running a marathon, no chance in hell. No chance at all. None whatsoever. Not happening. Not doing it. Nope. Not going anywhere. Nope. Not happening. So that's, not happening. All right. So just to kind of recap what happened in the Torneo de Tejas, literally it was a 1-1 draw. Latte Lot scored in the 38th. The assist goes to Will Riley. So Atlanta United had the lead at the break. And then Lucas Halter, one of the new acquisitions for Dynamo, scores in the 50th. Another one of their new pickups, Agustin Buzat, got the assist. Then they go to PKs, and it literally was 4-3 in the PKs. Houston scoring in the bottom of the 5th, and it was Wiesner scoring the decider. In the matchup itself, it was Alzate, Alexi, and Cooper Sanchez not available in this one, and we're listed as day-to-day, aren't we all? Starting lineups in this one, it was Hoyos, back four of Hernandez, Mihai, Barakal, and DCQ. Then Thomas Jakob, Tristan Muyumba, Will Riley. Then your three in the attack, Miggy, Saba, and Latte Lot. So you're looking at Ronald as your right back, your two center backs. Looks like Mihai was probably your center back on the right. Barakal is your center back on the left. DCQ is your left back. Mihai had Stian come in the 56th. Matt Edwards came in for DCQ in the 56th. And like I said, this is going off of what Bayou said in their matchup, in their tracking of the event. The DCQ is taken off because of injury. Like I said, that's the only liner note we saw. It was 2 lines on the 100 and the 180 character app, and that was it. Literally off, might be a knee. Literally, that was all it was. No update, no nothing, no backup, no information other than that. So take the information for what it is. Then, so that was your back four to start. Matt Edwards comes in the 56th, having Matt Edwards as a part of the discussion at center back or at one of your back four. That's always good to have when you're getting Matt Edwards back to being healthy. Midfield 3, Thomas Jakob playing further up as a midfielder, which he has done before. And then you had Tristan and Will Riley as your other midfielders listed as such. Jakob went 80 minutes. Aiden Torres came in to go for the final 10. Then Adrian Gill came in with 20 to go for Will Riley. In the attack, Miggy, Saba, Latte, Lot. You can pretty much figure out how that would look when the whistle blows. Then Togashi came in the 56th. So literally Atlanta United had 4 subs that were used in the 56th minute. Then Luke comes in for Saba in the 56th. And then Santi Pita comes in for Miggy with 20 to go. So that was the rundown in the matchup for Atlanta United. Jaden Hibbert, Toto Majub, available but did not play. Houston's starting lineup, and this goes to the rules of the tournament. Here's how Houston lined up. Jonathan Bond in net. Back 4, Halter, Antonio Carlos, Sviatchenko, and Griffin Dorsey. Midfield 3, Jack McGlynn, Buza, and Lawrence Inali. Your attacking 3, Mari Bogish, Guilherme, and Ezequiel Ponce. Gilberto Rivera was the only sub not used. Here's what Ben Olsen did in substitutions, just to give you an idea. Atlanta United used 7 subs. Houston used all 11. He swapped out. Ben Olsen swapped out. So Bond lasted till the 64th. Jimmy Maurer came in, and the Pride of Stone Mountain, Georgia, had 2 saves in the PKs. And so Jimmy Maurer came up big for Dynamo. Franco Negri, Agustin Resch, Isaac Mukatuya, and Thomas Wiesner all came in the 76th minute. So Ben Olsen literally swaps out his back 4 with 15 to go. Literally, that's what he did. But he wasn't done. Midfield 3 of McGlynn, Buza, and Inali are swapped out for Samasiku, Matthew Arana, and Andre Linger. So you have now 7 substitutions with 15 to go. And he's not done. Ezequiel Ponce is subbed out. Nick Marcanic subs in for Ezequiel Ponce in the 76th minute. So you had 8 subs come in for Houston in the 76th minute. 15 minutes plus shootout. Dwayne Holmes and Ache came in for Guilherme and Mari Bogish in the 64th minute. So literally you had 3 subs. If you were at Hell in a Shell, just to give you an idea. So, I mean, Tata subs 4 dudes in the 56th minute. Okay, we've seen that before. We've seen a fire wagon change. Yeah, that's cool. So Gregerson, Edwards, Luke Brennan, and Togashi come in the 56th minute. Okay, yeah, great. I mean, we've seen that before. Santi Pita comes in, Adrian Gill comes in, they get 20. Aiden Torres comes in, he gets 10. You're used to seeing 4 guys right there next to the 4th. He holds up the light board. He sits there and he's trying to check all of his numbers in his paper. For the Houston Dynamo substitution, 64th minute, yeah, okay, you get 3. What the hell do you think it looked like in the 76th minute when Ben Olsen is swapping out 8 dudes? You think the 4th and the light board are just kind of sitting there and he's just kind of going, yeah, you just go on out there? 8 dudes in the 76th minute for Ben Olsen. I mean, yeah, you have to hand the piece of paper over to the 4th or what have you, or the attending at the table, but 8 dudes. He subs out 8 guys in the 76th minute. And obviously, it was 1-1 at that time. You go to PKs, you win in PKs 4-3, you get the extra point in the tournament format. Okay, great. But yeah, what do you think the 4th was looking at? He's grabbing his board. He turns to the table and he just sees 8 dudes come walking down. What do you think's going through his mind? He's like, oh, Ish, I got to do all of these subs? Or did it just get to the point where you're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, tell me who you're subbing in for, and then I'll just take your word for it. 8 dudes. So it was 1-1, and Atlanta United goes to PKs. They do not get the extra point. 4-3 in PKs. Jimmy Maurer at the save. And that's where we are from the Houston perspective of what happened on the day. And now you wait until the midweek when you travel up to, or you complete your travel up to Frisco. My guess is you're probably up there already. Noon kick Eastern time against Red Bull at Frisco. And then you have a matchup on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with FC Dallas. So it's Wednesday, Saturday to finish up. And let me check really quickly, and let me see if I want to check and see if we have any kind of notification from FCD if the matches are going to be streamed in any manner, way, shape, or form. So let's do a little digging this morning and go to the website. Okay, so single match tickets, shopping, community, naming rights sponsor. Ooh, congratulations. Texas Health Resources announces the naming rights sponsor of the Mansfield, Texas Stadium, which is what they've been looking for. Let's see. Sign up for the email schedule. All right. So if we go to schedule, it's just going to be the regular season. I can guarantee you that, and that's what it was. Okay. Well, no. The friendly for the 14th. Oh, it's a day-night doubleheader for Dallas. Oh, no, it's the 21st. Sorry. So the 14th at 1 o'clock, they have listed as a friendly against Atlanta, but they don't have any information yet posted. Sitting here as they loan Enesali to Al Riyadh. Buyback program, advisory board, first day of hires, preseason schedule. Okay, so the preseason schedule announcement, and like I said, this is a month old. There have been no updates, at least on the website. So the matchup against Red Bull is closed to fans and media. That much we do know. According to FCD, it's closed to fans and media on Wednesday at noon Eastern. Then season ticket members can go see FCD and Atlanta United on Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. But the matchup against Red Bull's closed to fans and media. The matchup against FCD on Saturday at 1 o'clock is exclusive to season ticket members. Now, let me dig quickly and see if FCD has posted anything else. And we might have to do a little digging to see if there is anything going on with FCD and if they have announced or if they have not announced anything. I'm trying to check my emails quickly and see if from any of the results that happened on the weekend, if they posted. Okay, so the last Torneo de Tejas release, and it was 3 45-minute halves for FCD and Red Bulls, which was interesting. Okay, so there's your scores. 4-0 in the preseason, starting 11s. No mention of streaming yet, and this was posted on Saturday. So from FCD, website initially said that the Wednesday matchup for Atlanta United closed to media and to fans, and then Saturday season ticket holders. No word on any kind of streaming as of yet. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on if anything changes one way or the other when it comes to Atlanta United and being able to watch and enjoy what is going on with preseason out there at the Torneo de Tejas. It is taking every fiber of my person to keep from saying tornado. But the Torneo de Tejas, that's where it is. So Torneo de Tejas, nothing yet on streaming, but obviously we'll keep you posted with all of that stuff. Okay. I was going to mention something else. Oh, I was going to make the rundown for the week and let you know what's going on here before we hear from Adrian, Gill, and Ronald Hernandez. Okay. The rest of the week is fairly chaotic. I'd mentioned what's going on with Creek Cup. That's going to be on the platform as we start our high school coverage in depth Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So once again, soccerdownhere.net. Go to watch, hit the watch tab. You can catch up on all of the action. Games are live. You know, whether it's SDH 1 or SDH 2. SDH 1 is going to have all the matchup from Johns Creek. SDH 2 is going to have everything from Northview. So all of those games, Maddie, Jason, Drew, me, all in the network. That's going to be starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, guests this week, just to give you an idea as to how busy this week is. USYNT, and we'll catch up with them in just a bit, probably with Bart when he comes in here in about 15 minutes as a part of the extravaganza with Bart Keeler and the Soccer for USPod. Youth national team, the 17s, the U17s. They took care of business on the weekend. They put 10 on the board. James Donaldson was in net for match number 1, was not in net for match number 2. They're getting ready for the last game in the group stage. They win the group. They're going to the World Cup in Qatar in November. We're catching up with James from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If everything goes according to plan and things behave when it comes to all of the electronics that are involved in making sure that you can actually have these kinds of conversations. So we're going to try and catch up with James tonight from the compound and the hotel, and we'll catch up with him. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed from here to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and back. So that will be a part of tomorrow. Efforting the recording of James Donaldson, we're going to air it tomorrow, just as they get ready for the last match in the group stage. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to catch up with, and I don't know if you've seen this, but Professor Brett Myers from the Villanova University School of Business, he's going to be joining us at 10 o'clock, and we're going to have a discussion about analytics. And it is from the Villanova School of Business. Villanova professor Brett Myers has things to discuss about where analytics are concerned and the U.S. men's national team ahead of the World Cup. His research focuses on using analytics to improve decision-making in sports businesses, both in delivering results on the field, managing operations to achieve strategic objectives. He has served in the past as an analytics consultant for Toronto FC and Philadelphia Union. So we're going to have Dr. Myers on. We're going to have Professor Brett Myers on from the Villanova School of Business at 10 o'clock tomorrow to discuss his analytics, to discuss what he found to work when it came to all of the math that's involved with his time in Toronto and Philly, and how he's applying it to the men's national team ahead of the World Cup. I want to find out what his factors are, what his math equations are based upon. And I want to walk down that road. But Brett Myers from the Villanova School of Business is going to join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock to go through analytics and what he thinks about the U.S. men's national team getting ready for the World Cup. Now, when the show is over, we're going to catch up with Lagos Kunga. Lagos Kunga will be on the show on Wednesday, taping Tuesday, airing Wednesday. Also, we're going to be going 3/4 of the way around the world, catching up with Ronan Wynn. Former member of the Twos. He is hanging out in the OFC Pro League, and we're going to find out what's up with Ronan. So Ronan Wynn will be on a Tuesday record because they're like 15 hours ahead of us. And so Tuesday night record our time, Wednesday air. Lagos Kunga airing, Ronan Wynn airing on Wednesday, and Aaron Adams from the NXT Foundation. We're going to find out what's going through with Aaron as he is developing the NXT Foundation, trying to help out underserved communities when it comes to the growth of the game. Out, small towns, areas that are detached from normal county programs, things like that. Underserved communities. We're going to catch up with Aaron. That'll be on the show on Wednesday. Then Thursday, once again, noon Wednesday, we're going to have the Red Clay Soccer Report kicking back in and discuss the high school game. That's going to be at noon from noon to 1. Tyler Mayer from Lake Oconee Academy is going to join us. Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek is going to join us, and one more coach. Thursday, after the Power Hour, we're going to let you know what's going on in the Northern Super League. Kelly Schultes is going to join us, and she is one of the VPs for the league, and we're going to find out how year 1 was for the Northern Super League, find out what they're looking forward to in year number 2. The professional league professional women's league in Canada finishes up season number 1. Schedule was released last week for season number 2. Kelly Schultes from the NSL is going to join us Thursday. We're going to go supersized on Thursday past 11 o'clock. I know it shocks you, probably closer to 11:30. So it's going to be the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. Kelly Schultes is going to join us to talk Northern Super League at 11 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. And then Friday will be your normal bits of chaos as we go through Leagues Cup and Beyond Goals Mentoring. We've got CONCACAF Champions League to get into this week. We got to get all the things that are together, all the stuff. So it's going to be a busy-as-ish week. and it's going to be a fun one as high school coverage kicks back in. We got all the guests. We got all the things. Atlanta United is Wednesday and Saturday in Dallas, Texas, and we're getting ready. Man, next Saturday is the beginning of the regular season. Next Saturday. I swear it was just November. Shows you how things run together. Okay, so that's the rundown for the week. Yeah, the week. That's what we're doing this week here on the morning show. So that's going to be Mike Lagos is in Portland. Lagos Kunga is after rehabbing a knee injury. He was in Omaha last year at USL League One, but he was out for the season because he had a knee injury. And Portland Hearts of Pine have signed him, and so now he's in Portland in USL League One. So we're going to find out what last year was like for Lagos and rehabbing and not being able to play and how he's doing now and what it's going to be like in Portland, because we know what Portland Hearts of Pine mean to crowds. I mean, you can't get a ticket. So he's going into a hot crowd environment and a team that was making some noise in their first year. We'll find out what's going on with Lagos tomorrow, and that's going to be taped and run on the Wednesday show. So Ronan Wynn, OFC Pro League. He's playing in Australia, New Zealand right now in the first year for that league. So he's playing there. We're going to catch up with him. Lagos is in Portland, Maine, catching up with him. Busy Wednesday. And then Aaron Adams from the NXT Foundation, we're catching up with him too on the records. So, yes. So there we go. So that's the rundown of the week. Busy as you know what. Morning, Michael. Morning, Abby. Morning, Ricky. Let's see. And I know a lot of you guys were talking about either the Roman numeral classic or Lindsey Vonn. She's still a badass. Morning, Kefsey. Let's see. And I did not know that it was 2 fractures in the leg. That I did not know. I knew it was 1. I didn't know it was 2. Morning, David. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Alex. Alex, I hope everything is okay as you get the wheels repaired from the surgery. So once again, just know that we're thinking about you, and we need the wheels back up and running as best they can, as quickly as they can. So, yep, I know that you guys were looking at. Let's see, Roman numeral classic, great defense, and Drake May was exposed for being a second-year quarterback, and yeah, Lindsey Vonn is still a badass. I don't care what anybody says. So that's I guess an elongated opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. Coming out of the Atlanta United action on the weekend, there are 2 things, in addition to everything else, but 2 immediate things that have come out on the network that I want you to take a listen to. One of them is an interview that Maddie and Jason did with Adrian Gill. And it was an opportunity for us to catch up with the new guy and find out what it's like for him to be over here after his time in the Barca system. So here's just a little snippet of the conversation that Jason and Maddie had with one of the new guys, Adrian Gill, and what it's like for him to be a part of Atlanta United going forward. First question that we're going to start with in this segment with the interview with Gill, what it was like when Barcelona was like, yeah, hey, dude, we want you to come over here and be a part of our system.
To be honest, I think the normal answer is that it was pretty hard, but coming at a young age, I think made it much easier.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I met some great friends in my first year there, and then just with football, it all kind of it went great. I played at a local club called Cornellà. Played there for 2 years, and we were only supposed to be there for a year, actually. My parents are professors, so we moved for sabbatical.
I was going to ask you that,
yeah. And so we moved. It was going to be a year. We heard rumors that Barca was scouting me. All right, let's stay another year. And we stayed another year, and at the end of the second year, Barca had invited me to trial, and then I got signed. And that was the start of it.
You mentioned Cornellà. What did those years there, what did that teach you about yourself and about the game?
I think first, actually, when I went to trial, 3 months before we moved out, I had kind of gotten a spot on the first team for my age group. And when I got there, they just put me on the second team. They kind of just put me to the side.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it was actually like an incredible decision for me because I was able to play with that team. I also got called up with the year older second team. Then I would play with the first team for my age as well, and just adapting to different players, like a different style of soccer, and that was all really beneficial to me.
When you mentioned Barcelona started like kind of asking and looking, what was that process like for you? What was that like as a kid?
I think, well, when I first moved, there's always the dream of like, I mean, I'm in Barcelona. I'd love to play for Barca, but you can only go to Barca if they call you.
Yeah.
So I guess I dreamed about it, but I wasn't expecting it. And when I finally got the call, they called my coaches, and it all went through the clubs. And they brought me into like the little laundry room in the club, and they were like, "Look, Barca wants to have you come try out." And I remember just like the room spinning around me, and so vividly too. And then, well, yeah, going to trial was just a whole nother.
Conversation with Adrian Gill that Maddie and Jason got to have with him. You can listen to the whole conversation over on the network. If you haven't, set your notifications to everything that we do on social media, whether we use the 140, 180, or however the heck many character app it is, whether we use X or Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or whatever, set your notifications and you'll know when we have new content that is released. A new edition of the Copa Libertadores show is out with Howard Hamilton. They are in the first stages of the first prelims here in 26. And so Howard gives you the sprint for all of that information. So anytime we have something new up and running, segment from the morning show that we just pull off to the side and spin off and let you listen to it on its own. The show when it's up in full. Anything that we do, set your notifications, then you'll know that stuff like this is up and running. So go and listen to the conversation that we had with Adrian Gill that Maddie and Jason had, and then another conversation with one of the real deep thinkers and one of the more earnest, honest, and genuine interviews that you can get is with Ronald Hernandez. And this is the first time that Maddie and Jason got to catch up with Ronald this year, caught up with Ronald before the team left for the Torneo de Tejas. Here's a part of that conversation that they got to have with Ronald about what it's like now that Ronald is I believe, one of the longest tenured players in the organization, but what this means to him.
I think because, like you say, guys, now I'm one of the longest player currently in the squad. I think because I have creating a good connection with people around here and on and off the field, that I feel like a sense of being of my home, but also not forgiving that I'm a foreign and that I still need to adapt for certain things. But with a lot of humility, I think I can call right now Atlanta like my house, my home.
When living in Atlanta, how has Atlanta maybe changed you, not as a player, but as a person, from maybe when you first came here all those years ago, a couple years ago?
Oh, that's a good question. Changing in a lot of different aspects. Of course, when I came here, I'm working here. My main target is giving everything on the field. Mm-hmm. But off the field, the club and then the people that have been passing throughout all of these years have given me the opportunity to learn in different aspects and different kind of thing where emotionally, personal-wise, mental health, day-to-day basic things, parenting my child, also in the schools. I think all of those stuff. Of course, business side, I have growing up as well, but taking in consideration all of these things outside of the field, I feel that I'm a better person.
Ronald Hernandez. So 2 recent conversations that Maddie and Jason got to have, one with Adrian Gill, one with Ronald Hernandez. Go ahead and listen to those on the network. And especially with Ronald's. Like I said, Ronald's a very deep thinker, and you get to find out a lot about Ronald as a person and what it means to him to wear the badge and be a part of Atlanta United and be the part of Atlanta United that he's been over the last handful of years. So 2 conversations that are up, Adrian Gill and Ronald Hernandez with the team out there at Torneo de Tejas with a closed door match on Wednesday with Red Bull and season ticket holder match in Frisco against FCD. That is on the weekend. All right, it's hour number 2. And there's a lot of stuff to get into with Bart. And I'm going to let Bart determine where he wants to go here because there's a lot to get into. And it is good morning, sir, by the way.
Good morning, John. If a match happened, but no one's allowed to watch it, but you are tweeting about it, did it actually happen and does it matter?
I don't know. It's just there were ground level
There's
highlights.
also a trophy on the line.
Yeah, it's a point system. It's a tournament, and it's the Torneo de Tejas. I don't know. Maybe you get one of those supersized chalk created bull heads, like they have in the stores, like in New Mexico or whatever. Like if you go to the truck stop in Las Cruces and you go and you get you see everything that you can buy, and they have the elongated longhorn that's just the chalk skull or something like that. Maybe you get that. I don't know. Maybe you get a championship belt or I don't know. But
the banner.
Yeah, so you get a Torneo de Tejas banner, and it's probably going to be in orange and black because of the colors. I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like Atlanta United did put out ground level highlights, so you did get to see the events as they happen, but no streaming, no play-by-play, no none of that. And like I said, we're still waiting to find out what's going to happen, if anything, when it comes
What
to
happens when you fire Glenn Davis? Should have done that.
Yeah, we need to have our friend Glenn to talk about Houston and everything else. That reminds me. Yes, so thank you for that. I need to remind myself to catch up with Glenn so we can have Glenn as a part of the cadre here for this season. Okay, got a couple different directions that we can go. Actually, let's go ladies first. And I want to bring in the Kat Macario conversation. And it was interesting that Kat Macario decided, nah, I'm good. Contract extension idea was up.
Mhm.
Chelsea's like, hey, we want you to come and hang. We want you to stay. Kat Macario said, nah, I'm good. I'm sure that folks on this side of the planet were sitting there going, ooh, trying to figure out what their cap space is like. I thought it was really interesting considering all of the movement that we've seen. Trinity Rodman, we've talked about her a lot. Trinity Rodman's staying. Kat Macario's like, nah, fam, I'm good. So she'll be on the open market, and it might be, do we dare project another opportunity for the NWSL to become hip in chasing after Kat Macario?
Well, do you want my prediction?
Sure.
And it's based in nothing but just connections.
Sure.
Kat Macario to AFC.
Okay.
Just, the Stanford connection makes sense. It is weird for a player in early February, right? As the winter transfer window has essentially closed now, to just say, no, I'm not coming back next year. It also is interesting when you look at this because Sonia Bonpastor has coached Kat Macario twice now, and Kat has left her twice, supposedly. I don't know what that means, but it's just curious, right? I think this is particularly out of the blue that she's leaving Chelsea, or I guess it will be out of the blue if you.
Yeah, I mean, you are correct.
But no.
You're out of the blue. That's probably your headline. Some newspaper / website in England
they're going to use it.
Is going to use it, and so use it now before they do. Yeah,
Katarina Macario out of the blue. Granted, if she goes to BFC, it'll be a different shade of blue. But anyway, I find it curious that she made this decision so early. And to me, that points to something that she clearly is not happy at Chelsea. Now, I'm not saying that means that she hates it there and, oh, this is terrible. She just probably feels she wants to go somewhere else. There are obviously in Europe a ton of suitors who would want her, right? I mean, I think she would fit in well. If you look at Lyon, if you look at other WS clubs, maybe one in London, possibly looking at her. I don't think she fit in at Arsenal necessarily, but like Arsenal could spend some money on her. Manchester United, maybe. Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich, Lyon, PSG. Though there are clubs in Europe who might be eyeing her. I mean, Real Madrid, right? If they keep spending money the way they've been spending, possibly, right? But I do think, and remember, Kat purposefully dismissed the draft, dismissed NWSL to go to Europe to start her career. Maybe she thinks she wants to come back to the States and play some in her career now that she is pretty much in her prime.
Right now, obviously, hasn't played in 26, left out of the squad for Champions League knockout stage despite the deep run. Contract expires at the end of the year. And I literally have this. I had this vision of Kat Macario's phone, and there's like a WhatsApp group with it's a WhatsApp group with NWSL WhatsApp group, and they're trying to add her to it. So, I saw that and I was like, ooh, intrigued. So keep an eye on that.
I do think NWSL makes a lot of sense for her. I truly do, because I think there are clubs that need someone of that type of stature and skill to truly elevate them, right? And I do think Bay could be considered one of those, where I think they've got some decent pieces. Obviously, another year of existence can help them with some of the players they have. But I am very curious about, I mean, one, I'm curious why she's not playing, because I think that's short-sighted from the best store. But I do think that all these signs indicate something at Chelsea is not going right for her. She's ready to get out.
Okay. Let's get into the national teams. I want to start with the developing story that came out first. Youth national team, U16 boys national team. 24 players have been called in to represent the U16 B&T for a domestic training camp in February. And you look at the roster, you've got Olu Fakiezi from Atlanta United, Daniel Tagbo from Atlanta United. You've got David Ilivbari from Atlanta United, No Santillan from Atlanta United. And so you end up with 4 of the players from the Atlanta United Academy as a part of the U16 boys national team. That was released once again at the top of the hour. And word from this one, Paul Simpson, once again naming the 24 player U16 boys national team roster. Training camp from February 11 through 18. So literally 2 days from now, you got training camp. Get over here. So that's what you're looking at with Paul Simpson, part of the U.S. Way. And this February camp continues their preps for the 2027 U17 qualifiers, which serves as qualification for the 27 U17 World Cup in Qatar. Atlanta United leads the way with 4 players selected, 3 each: Colorado, FCD, Seattle, 2 from Charlotte, Nashville, Austin, FC Cincinnati, DC, LAG, Purple Team, and San Jose. All players were born on or after January 1st of 2010. So 4 of the 24 players for the U16s for Paul Simpson, all they have to do is commute down to Fayetteville and go hang out at Trilith. So it's good, cool stuff there. Then, with what's going on right now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 2 wins and a boatload of goals so far. Yeah. Now, this is what I had to do for what happened Saturday. So Saturday was game 2 after they beat St. Vincent and the Grenadines in match 1. Then they play St. Kitts and Nevis in match number 2. We were watching this as we were doing stuff here. So here's as condensed a highlight package as I could put together. Admittedly, this was trimmed, and I tried to trim some play-by-play on both sides. So here's kind of what happened with the youth national team when they played St. Kitts and Nevis on Saturday, game 2 in the group stage.
Who will prove a problem as Gardner whips this in, and there is the opener. Jakob Povic's red-hot streak continues, and the Americans take an early lead. Able to play through the press. Jakupovic chasing. Flag stays down. It's still Malik Jakupovic who doubles the advantage. As well. Garcia down in the area, and the referee immediately points to the spot. And Garcia drives it in. Coolly taken, and has options in the box. Cuts inside himself, and it goes in the back of the net. Hart got a pair. Jakupovic, and there is the halftime whistle.
Okay, so 4. I was ahead of myself.
Full-scale domination from the United States. DiMorelli sent in behind. Flag stays down. Rounds the goalkeeper. He's just shy of the hour threshold. DiMorelli delivers. It is 5-0 to the U. First proper touch of the ball for him. Vertical ball towards Chadwick, and he finishes. It is a defender-to-defender connection, and as we show the replay, a 7th flies in for the United States. Unrelenting, DiMorelli weaving away in celebration. Out. Here's a high arcing cross towards 4-4. Appeals for handball, and the appeals have been granted. Would you expect anything else? 4 for Ostrander again. Has multiple in support. Malik Jakupovic. It is a 5th for the standout forward. 4-4 times his run well and goes for goal, and this time finishes. Double digits for the United States, and it is 4-4 on the score sheet.
10-0, U.S. over St. Kitts and Nevis. Malik Jakupovic with a handful. One shy of what they call in lacrosse a sock trick. He had a brace. He was and a natural hat trick was 1 goal away. So Jakupovic in the 7th and the 23rd, PK in the 36th, Jakupovic in the 44th, 4-0 at the break. DiMorelli from the spot in the 58th, Chadwick in the 69th, nice. DiMorelli in the 72nd, Jakupovic with another brace in the 80th and the 84th, Prince 4-4 from Eddie Chadwick, 90 minutes, 10-0, and that's where the U.S. is over St. Kitts and Nevis. They can clinch a World Cup berth with a draw or a win against the Dominican Republic, and that is tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock. And like I said, tonight we're catching up with James Donaldson. How do we phrase this? Technology permitting, coming from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Dominant performance right now, 2 wins, plus 18 in goal difference. And right now, draw or better, and to surpass the Dominican Republic when it comes to goal difference. So dominant so far from the U17s in CONCACAF. No surprises as of yet, but the Dominican Republic is your last test to get you ready for Qatar.
Yeah, look, it should be a win.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against the Dominican Republic, but this team seems to be clicking. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is the goals you're seeing aren't entirely just solo efforts.
Yeah.
There's actual patterns of play and passing that lead to a lot of these goals. Obviously, the standard of competition is very low. We just do have to say that. But these guys look like they enjoy playing together. They look like they know what they're doing out there in a group. And that's pretty cool to see.
41-1 in shots on target, 16 shots on goal, none for St. Kitts and Nevis, 5 saves for St. Kitts and Nevis, 9-1 in corners, 11-8 in fouls, 19 fouls actually called in this match, and 6 offside, 5 to the United States in this one. It seemed like once it got to 7, I was going to say 6, but it seemed like 6 or 7, somewhere in there. When you get the 6th goal in the 69th, the 7th goal in the 72nd, you could tell that whatever wind was left in the sails for St. Kitts and Nevis was pretty much gone at that point. And the conditioning that we see from the United States against these nations that still have a lot to learn and a lot to grow, you can tell that conditioning is there, the teamwork is there, the effort is still there, and you end up getting goals 8, 9, and 10, which in these competitions help you out in goal difference. But as we say, you cannot advance as a soccer playing nation unless you have learning moments like this. And I think that there are a lot of teams in this tournament that are in CONCACAF that are getting these moments where they can continue to learn about themselves and where they need to grow, where they need to apply infrastructure or training or whatever. So it's a learning experience on some ends and a reaffirmation in others.
Well, I'll take Dominican Republic as an example because I think they've had a pretty decent run of youth national team performances at these types of competitions. They're going to find out tomorrow what the next step is, hopefully. Don't want to sound too overconfident.
Right.
But, I always say with these competitions, the goal is just to qualify. The goal is to get to the World Cup. It's hard to take many lessons for the U.S., for Mexico out of this. But, there are teams like Cuba, I think Costa Rica and Puerto Rico are also vying for qualification. Like there are teams that maybe not at the top level who need to use youth national line to train and grow these players so that when they do get to the national team, which again for 2030 you have to think 6 spots open, that's a lot of opportunities for nations like this to qualify. That's hopefully you piece a lot of these youth national team cohorts together, you're looking good at the national team, at the senior national team level, qualifying for the main World Cup. And I think that's what, especially Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico is one. I don't know if they'll qualify, but like those types of nations who want to get to that level, truly, not just say we want to, but are actually trying to, they can learn a lot from these. And it's really just about playing together, learning what international soccer is, and again, piecing together the age group so that, look, not every age group is going to give you a full slate of starters, but you can put a couple from each age group together, right? And that puts together a full senior national team.
And, we talk about the gulfs that exist just to give you an idea. Group A, Mexico, they've won their first 2, haven't given up a goal. They're in a group with Barbados, Trinidad, and Saint Martin. So that's a 5-team group. But Mexico hasn't given up a goal in their first 2. Group B, Panama, Nicaragua. Those are the 2, and it's going to come down to that match, and that's probably going to be one of the closest matches to determine who goes out of any group in this tournament, because right now each team has only given up a goal, and Nicaragua has scored 2 goals less than Panama. So that one's going to be one to watch if you're watching on FS2. Thanks to CONCACAF and FS2, by the way, for the highlights. Guatemala and Haiti is another one in Group C, where those 2 and then Grenada, then the other 2 in the group have some learning to do. Group D, you mentioned Costa Rica, Puerto Rico. Costa Rica, by the way, has scored 35 goals in their first 2 matches, and they have not given up a goal. Puerto Rico scored 15, haven't given up a goal. That one, once again, Group D is going to be interesting. You mentioned we're in Group E. Group F, Cuba and El Salvador, going to be tight. El Salvador, with a loss last time out, they're going to need a win against Cuba and get some help. Goal difference right now is a +1. Jamaica, Canada in Group G. Jamaica hasn't given up a goal yet. Canada's given up 1. That head-to-head is going to determine who goes. And then Group H, Honduras, Guyana, and Bermuda. And Guyana's already in the barn, so Honduras just needs 1 point in their matchup with Bermuda to go. So there is a gulf, but there is competition. So there's layers here, but there's still a lot of growth, I think, in CONCACAF that can be had. That's just me. Like I said, just staring.
No, you're right.
I mean,
allow me a second to talk about Canada.
Sure,
only
go for
because
it.
they love to talk about us.
There you go.
We'll give them back.
Engage.
Canada, y'all better qualify. Y'all keep telling me. Y'all keep telling us. Y'all are the big dog. Oh, y'all got to watch out. Y'all do not have success, especially recently, at the youth national team level. And you cannot have a generation and a half players and say, up here, just because you got Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, that's great. What happens when, again, 2030 rolls around and you don't have anyone else to stop the roster? I don't know. I would be a little worried if I were the Canadian national team program, but what do I know? I'm not Jesse Marsh. I don't just give good pep talks.
The matchup there, it is in the Costa Rica housed group. It is Aruba, Caymans, Canada, and Jamaica. Canada-Jamaica is the late game on Wednesday, 3:00 Eastern time. So Canada-Jamaica. If you're just kind of passively looking at something in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, maybe just kind of dial it over. Maybe go to FIFA Plus and see what's going on Canada-Jamaica. So that one is Wednesday at 3:00 to keep an eye on Canada and Jamaica. So that one is I'm intrigued, as the kids say. Now that we've gone through what's been going on with tournaments, there is someone who is on a bit of as they say in Vegas, he's on a heater. And right now, there's one individual who's playing in Serie A. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him, quoting our friend Dan Patrick. It's this guy, courtesy of our friends at CBS Sports Network in Serie A.
Locatelli and McKennie. Weston McKennie had deflected. And Gill, first time, spilled there from Providel. Cambiaso, another cross. McKennie! A lifeline for Juventus through Weston McKennie, who just cannot stop scoring. Juve back in it.
It's been coming. They had so many chances in the first half. It's been relentless attack after attack. Chikarova's shot forced another good save from Providel. And then this ball in here from Cambiaso. He lifts it perfectly for Wild West. Picks out his target. I've talked about it so many times. The January Juventus Player of the Month. How good he's been in the system under Spalletti, playing further forward. How good he is in the air with his leaping ability, his timing of headers. And that ball was slightly behind him. He still gets behind it, gets a lot of power and direction on it. And it must be said, it's a deserved goal from Juventus.
Wild West. I have never heard that, but I'll take it.
Look, 4 goals in Serie A in the month, which I think is impressive. Added a couple in tournament competitions as well. So Wes is playing for a contract somewhere. Let's just put it that way. I don't know where that contract will be, but I think he is proving that he is a valuable member of a team. And I do think that he is finally showing the all-round nature of his game. And it's at a good time. We got to keep this rolling. But I think if you're telling me that he's finding the back net and finding assists now, I'm liking that as we hopefully continue that into the summer.
4th goal last 7 Serie A matches. That was the goal that kind of spurred the attack. Kalulu's header in stoppage time gets the equalizer against Lazio at 2-2. Other activity on the weekend, Tanner Tessman is seeming to elevate his game in Serie B. And Alex Zendejas returns on his birthday, but obviously keep an eye on that. But Alex Zendejas gets a marker on his birthday. So happy birthday. And obviously you got to keep an eye on the whole injury thing. But returned from injury to make his first appearance. Scores in Club America's win over Monterrey. 12 minutes after his goal, he had to be subbed and was seen icing his thigh. So he goes 77 minutes with a goal, and he turned 28. So the good and the bad with Alex Zendejas in Liga MX.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that the hamstring or it was hamstring, one of the leg muscles. I'm hoping that it is more just like you mentioned, he just coming back. Let's take him out and make sure he doesn't go any farther than he needs to. Hopefully that's just part of that. I don't know. But he is playing for a World Cup spot, so he does need to get healthy. He does need to show out in, Liga MX, which half a step up above MLS maybe, but as not as high quality as some of the other leagues that we're seeing our guys play in. But we need wingers and we need winger depth.
Yes.
So unless your width there, the width could just be Serginho Dest and Tim Weah. I don't know, but he's playing to make himself part of the group.
Okay. Chris Richards, Crystal Palace gets a 1-0 win at Brighton. And at least for once, Chris Richards did not get stepped on and have to be removed from a match. Brendan Aronson does well in the 3-1 win for Leeds against Nottingham Forest in a battle at the bottom. That win gives them a 6-point cushion above the drop. Fulham, once again, had Jedi on the bench. They've dropped a couple of spots. Ryan Sessegnon got the start at Fulham for that one. Tanner Tessman, once again, plays 90 minutes in their win against Nantes. Valerian Balogun gets minutes in the draw with Nice. Tim Weah did not do well for Marseille, considering they got lit the blank up by PSG, and that might be it for De Zerbi when it comes to. It seems like Roberto De Zerbi has been looking for a trap door or an exit. He's been waiting for our Snagglepuss moment where he sits there and goes, "Exit, stage left, even," and they won't stop him. And I think that when PSG lights you up for 5, that's not going to do well for you. But yeah, Tim Weah played 90 minutes in a 5-0 romping by PSG. A lot of dudes played in Germany: James Sands, Paredes, Malik Tillman, Noah Kai Banks, Christopher Lund. You had a couple of guys with cups of coffee and some sub-ins from Damian Downs and Joe Scally. And Matisse Albert dressed for the first time for Borussia Dortmund. And so we got to keep an eye on that. Damian Downs actually has not scored in his last 4 appearances. So concerns for Damian Downs if he's trying to make a play for things from the German perspective.
I'm not sure Damian Downs is part of that conversation anymore, to be quite honest. He had the opportunity. I don't know where he stands, but for me, it's been very clear that he's not quite ready for that yet. Yeah, that's unfortunate for him.
Yep. Okay. Now the fun part. Cards and calls.
Do I get to explain why a referee was right?
Sure. No, this is what this is all about. This is all about moments and explaining and walking through particular calls and going, okay, I can understand why this can be called this way or can be called this way. And it was called this way. I get it. And so it's walking through all of these. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and start with Manchester City and Liverpool? And there was
worst game of the weekend.
Oh, it was horrendous.
But I'm an Arsenal supporter, so what do I know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you want the margins closed. You don't want any. You want everything. Just it's like get me to the end of the year on top. So second half, first half was two punchers kind of feeling each other out a little bit, and
Sure.
Then you get into the second half, and they got into what we used to call in college the hunch punch. I mean, it was the hunch punch that they got into, and it was, they got into the hunch punch on an empty stomach. That's what that was.
Yeah.
And you had a couple of moments as Manchester City was trailing, then they come back and eventually tie it and would go on to win. And then you thought they would be winning it by more, but they don't. So let's go to the Dominic Soboslai moment and go through this and explain why it could be one thing or the other. And the decision can be an acceptable decision with the end result with Dominic Soboslai with what happened as he was yanking on Superman's cape, otherwise known as Erling Haaland's jersey.
Okay. Well, John, if I can go through it a little bit, you have a through ball played as Liverpool has everyone up, goalkeeper included. We can talk about that penalty kick as well. Goalkeeper included. And it's it's an empty net situation for Liverpool, right? They pulled the goalie, not really. They pushed the goalie up to add another player. And Man City sees this, tries to take advantage of it. A long on the ground shot from, I forget who took it, but right at midfield. Erling Haaland chasing it down, Dominic Szoboszlai also chasing Holland.
Mm-hmm.
In that, Szoboszlai pulls Holland back. This is outside the penalty area. We do need to have that. So
Yes.
this is about 23 yards from goal.
Yep.
He pulls Holland back. Now, play continues for some reason, and I'll get to that.
Yes.
Play continues. Szoboszlai somehow overtakes Holland in the race, if you will.
Sure.
And Holland pulls him back. And then the ball just goes into the net because it was always heading there, and these two gentlemen didn't have to do anything. And
Ryan Cherokee, by the way, was the one who sent it forward.
Ryan Cherokee, thank you. So really what we're looking at are two incidents, right? Szoboszlai's foul, shirt tug on Holland outside the penalty area, and then Holland's reciprocal shirt tug inside the penalty area right outside the 6-yard box. So
yeah.
I think what people are confused about, well, we had a goal. Both guys fouled each other. Who cares? This was not a simultaneous foul.
No.
Would you agree, John?
No, I thought no, it was nowhere close to a simultaneous foul.
So that's kind of the key factor here. Is that this was not two guys giving each other the business at the same time. This was, at one point, red player pulling back blue player. Then blue player pulling back red player. And then because of that, we have to go through with the orders of operations, right? And essentially what happened was, at least this is the reasoning that I think makes sense. They're not going to walk it through exactly, and I haven't seen a PGMOL thing yet, but you played advantage when Szoboszlai fouled Holland, right?
Yep.
Because we have a goal-scoring opportunity.
Yes.
Now that foul would have been a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, because John, I think we can all agree this is an obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
Yes.
Where Holland is chasing a ball headed directly into the net, and he is 20-some yards out from goal. So we play advantage from that foul. However, upon VAR, you see Holland does in fact foul Szoboszlai. And in that case, if you cannot just say, okay, well, I'm going to call that foul there. Well, you could. But in this case, you go, okay, that was a foul there. That means that advantage was lost. And we bring it back to the original foul on the defensive team, in which we allowed the advantage to play. So really it's going, okay, advantage is applied here. So then you go from that clip. If you're an audio editor, you put your little mark there, and then you go forward a little bit, and you go, okay, oh, and there was the other stop. So now we have to go back to where the initial foul was that we have played advantage from. And that's just what happens here, is essentially we played advantage was lost, we brought it back. But we can't allow the goal to score if a guy fouls, if the attacking player fouls the defender in that way. So it's really clunky. I know some people are like, just let the goal stand. You can't do that. Again, these were not this was not Szoboszlai and Holland pulling at each other at the same time. They happened to fall down. No, these were two distinct incidents, two separate fouls in a chain of events. You have to address them as they are. And when you call advantage, or when you apply advantage, and then there's something that happens after that would mean the advantage was lost, you go back to where the foul was from the advantage, and that was Szoboszlai committing a dog-so foul outside of the penalty area, which is absolutely a red card any which way you slice it.
Yep.
On Holland. So you get a free kick for Man City, no goal, red card to Szoboszlai, and Liverpool ends up only losing 2-1 despite people thinking, oh well, this should have been why don't you just let it play? No, this
Yeah.
was the correct course of action that the referee took.
And this is the thing that we have to remind folks here is that you can't just let something be. Just because it was a goal on the board during phase of play, or however you want to, during the action that was going on in front of you, just because a goal is scored doesn't mean it stays. And unless alternate universe, unless you let the tugging with Soboslai and Holland, you let it go.
Right.
And call it as, it's just, jousting. There's no advantage being played one way or the other. If you let their tugging go, then goal is okay. But since one act happens before the other, you have to go back into the sequence and figure out, okay, where was the first incident? And it was when Soboslai had Holland outside the 18 and he's preventing his movement. So now, like I said, and if I'm doing this wrong, tell me. So since you can't allow the goal, you've got to work backward. And okay, what was the first offense? First offense was Soboslai pulling Holland to keep him from getting to the ball to put it into the net. And that's where your entire sequence has to go from as you're analyzing everything, since you weren't talking a simultaneous act.
It's a lot like, and it's not exactly like, but it's a lot like if Emmanuel Latte-Lot scores a banger, right, to win Atlanta United the game.
Yep.
But he's offside. But Miguel Almiron, who sent the through ball in, was able to do that after getting fouled. And the referee said, oh, play on. You got an advantage here, right? You got maybe now a 2v1. And Miggy plays it to him after he's been fouled, but he keeps playing. Oh, but Latte-Lot was offside. Or if we want to go OG Atlanta United, Alpharetta Dad, Joseph is offside. Joseph offside.
That never happened.
Striker's offside. But he was played in after a dude was fouled, but he kept playing because the referee gave advantage. You would say, okay, well, we don't have a goal because we had an infraction by the goal scorer, basically. I don't remember if Holland even actually touched the ball.
No, the ball did trickle in, and it would have gone to Cherokee. Yes.
Which I think is the funny part to all of this, is all that both players just goes for naught. But we have an infraction on the attacking team, on the goal scorer, for being offside. Okay, no goal. But we gave advantage to the attacking team right here. So it's unfair to them to give them an advantage that didn't materialize because player being in an offside position. Well, we got to go back to where the foul was. And so that's just basically what we did, right? And I think more importantly, in this instance, Holland's foul directly affected Sloboslai's ability to defend the ball going into the net. Like, I think without too much of a stretch, too many mental gymnastics, you can say, okay, Sloboslai would have kept this out of the net had Holland not pulled him back. Which I think was kind of the biggest factor. Is like, well, this was a foul that did in fact affect the outcome of this too. Which is why you definitely are like, well, you can't give him a goal if he fouls him like that, right? You just can't do that. And so you just go back to where you had that advantage called. Now, again, a lot of people think that this is, why don't we just use common sense here? Well, unfortunately, because the actions are independent.
Yeah.
They're not concurrent. You can't just do that. You can't, he pulled me and I pulled him. No, they were two very separate and distinct incidents of a foul. And because of that, we have to look at them both the same way.
Two other moments that I want to get into with this match specifically, and they're probably slam dunks. The Allison penalty call, as I think it was Mark Gahey was inside the 18. Walk through that one for me. It seemed like this one was a slam dunk. Allison, basically, he's trying to get to the ball. I think he's late, and then he cleans Gahey out, and Gahey, while Allison doesn't necessarily make full contact with Gahey, and Gahey ends up going over the top, that's what you're supposed to do in these situations to accentuate the idea of he's making contact with me. Yes, the ball has passed, but nevertheless, Allison slides into Gahey. Gahey gets wiped out, penalty.
Yeah, this was dumb. But also, I think this is clear evidence that Manchester City pays off referees, because why else would they call this? No, okay. This was, I think, frustrating, because you go, oh, he barely made contact and the ball's going out of play. It's still a foul. I mean, he still fouled him. He still makes contact with the player. I think most importantly here, when you're looking at it, the ball had gone past him. So, for Becker, I should say. So, like, the foul occurring, the contact occurring after the player had already kind of chipped the ball over him,
right,
is a real strike against him.
And that's the thing that I want to try to remind people in this situation is where the ball is, even if the ball is in a past tense with the individuals that are collecting each other, if the ball is not there as a part of the discussion, ball's already been played on, you still have to call the foul as a foul, even as, ball is off to its next thing. Ball's off to aisle 8. Gahey and Allison combine after the ball is gone. You still have to look at that particular moment of contact. And I think folks
especially because the ball is still in play.
Yeah.
Maybe very much clearly going out of play, and I don't know if the attacker would have got there, right? I think that's a fair assessment. Ball's still in play. Ball had not gone out of play. Allison very clearly makes contact, trips him. It's tripping foul inside the penalty area. It's penalty kick. It's just what it is.
And then this is just, and your arsenalness probably will come out in this part of the discussion too. When you are a center ref, and there is a prolific scorer on one of the teams, yet that individual likes to try and draw foul calls on stuff that isn't necessarily close to being a foul, slightest touch, fall down, go boom kind of thing. What is your level of patience? What is your conversation with this individual as they continue to try and emphasize consistent contact? Hey, I'm being fouled, even though it's the slightest touch. When you have an individual like that with you out on the field, how do you navigate that kind of an individual out there within the scope of a game in 90 minutes?
Well, what bothers me is when you listen to a lot of these Premier League frees, they are communicating calls, non-calls in the moment. So you can say stuff like, it's not really enough contact, or no, you still got the ball play on advantage, or you can say, there are ways that they're communicating. Like, again, if you listen to them when you hear this audio coming back, a lot of times, they're very clearly communicating their decisions. What I try to do is, and this does not work for the professionals because they're spoiled brats who think they are allowed to just talk when they want to. A lot of times, I'm sorry, they just are.
Oh, I know.
What I deal with is, okay, you can say your piece once.
Yeah.
Thank you for the feedback. Like, okay, thank you. I'm watching.
Yes.
Twice. Like, all right, I don't want to hear anymore.
Okay.
And after that, we're giving yellow cards, because at that point we are getting into a level of dissent. And I know it seems unfair, but it's like, I'm calling this game this way.
Yeah.
You're not special enough. Sorry. For me to take a wholly different approach just for you. Now, granted, this happens all the time when Inter Miami plays and a certain guy is on the field and everyone thinks he's special and should be treated differently. But the reality is you shouldn't be doing that. But it's just, they're just trying to work the referee, and you're allowed to say, no, I'm not hearing that anymore.
And that was why I wanted to have that part of the discussion with you about, I'll use your term, working the referees. And what the levels of patience are in these instances, and whether it literally is, do you just let them say their piece and they're just going to continue woofing, or is there a point
Well,
where
it
you sit there?
depends. If it's in the moment and they feel like they got fouled and they come on ref, and then it's like, well, we're going over and there's no other action or words taken. We're in the past. That's fine. Whatever. If they're specifically calling you out or like trying to have a conversation with you about it, or it does seem to be impacting the game, like they're continuing on after the incident. Again, for the most part, if you say something to me right after a foul that is still within a respectful way, okay, fine. Like you either thought you got fouled or you did get fouled. You're probably unhappy, right? If someone kicks me, I'm going to be unhappy, period, right?
Yeah.
If I think someone is doing something wrong to me, I'm going to be upset. This is the referee. Our job is to be a neutral observer and say, well, actually, no. No, that really wasn't a foul. That was just dude who happened to be close to you, and you don't like that because that means you can't do all the, things that you wish you could. And that's kind of the job out there of the referee.
Okay. Like I said, I wanted to ask what the limits are, and what the edges are and what the limits are and these kinds of things. That's why I wanted to pose that question to you in this situation, because there is an individual who was in that game that we've been spending a lot of time on, who at the slightest touch will say that he has been fouled. He's very vociferous about it, and he won't give up on the idea. I understand that you're trying to work the officials. I get it. But there should be I guess it is, it's either everything or it's nothing. It's like, I'm going to fall down every time, even if one is, not as bad as the others, and you turn into the boy that cried wolf syndrome. I just wanted to know where your limits are and where your peers' limits are when it comes to, okay, I've had enough. Next time up, it's a yellow card. That's why I was asking.
It's ego management.
Okay.
Is what it is.
Okay. So I just wanted to check. Last time out from the Soccer for US POD, you had a new person come into the stacks for your interviews. What happened there?
So a friend of mine, Bridget, she and I do together and watch soccer on occasion. So it's kind of fun to actually talk to someone I see in person. She has her own podcast called Our Home Ground. She looks at the off the field things going on in women's soccer. And so she and I talk a lot about off-field soccer things. But that's not what her podcast kind of covers. So this was fun to be able to talk with her about on-field side of the U.S. national team. And just, look, we both agreed these two friendlies were training exercises to basically say the not nice way of putting it, but there are still things you can look at and say, okay, well, who did well? Again, looking at this as She Believes Cup is next. Answering that question of who do we think from this group possibly is playing their way onto the She Believes roster.
Okay. And this is why we tell people to set their notifications for the Soccer for US POD and for Soccer Down Here, because when Bart has new things, this way when Bart has new things. Yeah, that's just kind of how things work. I wanted to give folks the tease because you had a new guest come in, and that's why I wanted to let everybody know about that.
Yeah.
What else is going on? What are the next steps here as you get ready for She Believes coming up?
Well, we'll probably do a little bit. I literally said I wrote down my depth chart for the women's national team, and not like a hurry, but it's like off the top of my head. Okay, what do I? And I do think we actually want to get what are the positions that are actually open. Who is actually because Emma, as I said, she said there are maybe 6 slots open. She believes up, which means if you're looking at 23 minus 6 is 17.
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, who are the 17 that are pretty much locked in? Bridget and I both kind of agree they're good people that were the last month camp or going to Leaves Cup. But a few that we're fighting for a spot, and there might be some more that are not in that camp that we're all fighting for a spot. So that'll be coming up. Do one about some of the men's national teams that's been trailing out as well. So we've got a couple of interesting ones for this month heading into big next month in March for both men's and women's national teams.
Yes, and we're looking forward to it. As always, my friend, thanks for camping out on Mondays as we walk through everything national team. Get ready for the U17s in the Dominican Republic coming up tomorrow, and we will have it all out there with you. Thanks, as always, for coming by on Mondays and walking us through things where you actually said a referee was correct. We'll mark this down. Mark the tape. Referee did it correctly. So it's all good stuff there. So as always, my friend, thanks for dropping by, and we will catch up with you next week, unless you crash in beforehand.
Please, some of y'all at the release tomorrow.
Yes. All right, be good. And
sorry, yeah,
that's all good.
Yeah.
All right, there goes Bart. And so it's always fun to catch up with Bart on Mondays and find out what's going on in his mind. Okay. All right, now let's get you into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, all the other news and everything else that's fit to print, and everything else on the board this morning. Okay, getting into the gossip and the things. So if we get into the gossip and the things, and those are the official terms, by the way, you still have a couple of countries that are windows that are open. South America, you got to keep an eye on that. It looks like Sandro Tonali, high on Manchester United's short list to replace Casemiro in the summer. That comes from our friends at the Telegraph. Liverpool open to allowing Chiesa to leave, want about 25 to 30 million euro. Juve, Napoli, Roma, possible destinations. Also, Spurs do not intend to turn Randall Colomawani's loan move from PSG into a permanent switch. Liverpool could be about to re-sign Gerald Kwanzaa from Bayer Leverkusen next year. Alex Jimenez set to complete a 19.5 million euro, basically 17 million pound move from AC Milan to Bournemouth, 5.5-year deal. After his latest appearance for Bournemouth, activated an obligation to buy in the loan deal. It's from our friend Fabrizio Romano. Manchester City interested in signing Everton's Kieran Dewsbury Hall for about 40 million pounds. That comes from our friends at Fichajes. So that is out and up and running this morning. Now, other newsy things, the newsy things, as we get you into all of that, plus what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. It was obviously CR41 was left out again. And so you wonder what his situation is going to be going forward. Is he going to try and navigate the same thing that Karim Benzema did, or are there going to be resources invested in his club to where he will come back and be a part of the starting 18s? Stade Rennais dismisses Habib Bey from his role as head coach, and they are in Ligue 1 and trying to climb the ladder and not be where they are currently. So let's look back at Stade Rennais and their recent run of form and find out really just how things are. And by the way, PSG lighting up Marseille on the weekend. That did not go well. Like I said, keep an eye on Roberto De Zerbi and his future there. PSG, by the way, gets Rennes next time out, and that is when's the 13th? Friday the 13th. So Friday Night Football League on PSG, and they are a minus 222 in the early numbers. So looking at you look at where PSG is right now. Once again, it's PSG and Lens, 2 points separating them. Marseille, after the blowout loss, their goal difference is back to 19, and they are fourth. Lyon is third at 42 points. Lille broke a 4-game losing streak in Ligue 1 last time out with a draw. Rennes has now lost 3 in a row, and the 3 right now in the relegation zone in France: Auxerre, Nantes, and Metz. And so looking at the 2 of them, the 3 of them, it looks like there's a little bit of separation, and it's going to be hard for any one of those 3 to try to climb their way up and go through. So hang on just a second. Let me let me find out. It's like you're trying to get a piece of information and it's not helping. So, looking at, so Ren having their issues, not necessarily a shock, but you end up leaving Habib Bey behind, and so that's where you are. PSG and Ren next time out. And Ren right now lost 3 in a row. They have not won in 4, 1 point in their last 4 matches. And after a strong start to the season, their 3 losses, by the way, have come on a total of 9-1 margin. So they've been outscored 8 goals in their last 3 matches, all losses. And so that's where they are struggling right now. River Plate, it's going to be tough. We'll talk to our buddy Nino Torres about River Plate probably on Thursday. Losing at the Monumental 4-1 to Tigre. Boca Juniors loses to Vélez Sarsfield over the weekend 2-1. Chivas and they beat Mazatlan 2-1 on Friday. You have, let's see, where else am I here? A couple of notes on the women's side of things. Giannis has joined the ownership group of Chelsea's women alongside Alexis Ohanian. Palmeiras is investing roughly $23 million in Brazilian currency into women's football in 26. Dedicated center of excellence that's almost close to being completed, fueled in part by a record transfer fee received for Amanda Gutierrez. Arsenal beat Manchester City in the WSL. So City had a 13-game winning streak that got snapped by Arsenal, and it was a big win for them, obviously. And, keep an eye out for Marseille and Roberto De Zerbi as that continues to go. There was Jonathan Perez has now moved to Liga MX from Nashville, and so that's another position that BJ Callahan has to look at, obviously, before the season starts. We'll catch up with our friend Lucas Panzica to get the rundown of everything Nashville SC as they go forward. Newest edition, only medicals left before the announcement, and no financial terms have been disclosed yet. Purple Team acquired 20-year-old center back Iago from Flamengo. He's going to be a U22. Deal runs through 29. I think there's an option for 2030 in that one. LAFC landed Steven Eustachio on loan from Porto. And so then that meant that because San Jose had dibs rights, they had to pay a little bit of allocation money to them to make sure that they could get Eustachio on loan. So keep an eye out on that. We mentioned Catarina Macario in Chelsea, and we mentioned Weston McKennie and Juve and his continued run. So big stuff there as well. Let's check in with our friends and our sources, both domestically and internationally. Now that the window's over, I think I'm going to try to see if we can get our buddy Ben Jacobs back in. Winners, losers, that whole kind of a thing. And it looks like Edward Still is going to be named Watford manager. Don't unpack. Let's see. Adidas have released the match ball for the Champions League final. Looks kind of busy. Looks kind of busy. Just a little bit busy. Just saying. Kind of quiet on the European front when it comes to everything now that the transfer window is done and folks are finally catching their breath when it comes to anything and everything going on with transfers and such. We'd mentioned the Hamas deal. Once again, still very, very, it's a temporary, but there is an opportunity to expand it after the World Cup, depending, I guess, on output and whether both sides are happy with how it's going to be. I'm continually intrigued by how this is going to work under Cam Knowles and what it's going to look like for Minnesota United offensively with him and Tomas Shankalai up top. Tom Bogert, youth national team keeper Gavin Beavers kept a clean sheet in his first start for Brøndby. Broke through with RSL before heading over to Europe. Red Bulls looked into signing him. Brøndby wanted to keep him. So big work there. And once again, the Johnny Perez deal, 32 appearances for Nashville after arriving from LAG. Cesar Luis Merlo was the first one in the barn on that one. So kind of quiet. BJ Callahan did confirm the talks before Chivas had made the offer and before Johnny Perez has now looking like, with the window closing tonight, that he's heading down to Liga MX. Nothing officially official yet, but it's leaning in that direction because Cesar Luis Merlo said that it was avanzado. So that's advanced talks. And so keep an eye out for Jonathan Perez and his move to Chivas. Just to give you an idea, and Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert did the math. Orlando City signs 3 Brazilians for their U22 slots this year for a combined $8.2 million plus add-ons in Iago, Luis Otavio, and Thiago. Drop a little over 8.2 to get your 3 U22s, all Brazilian talents. So keep an eye on that one going forward. That's interesting when you think about it with where Orlando City is going and what the purple team is thinking about their future. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll let you know what's going on there. Remember tonight, Soccer Over There. We'll go through everything, and we'll see what it looks like with the picks of the week. And my guess is that I didn't win because Jason has yet to reach out to me on any circumstance about any part of this. So I'm guessing that, once again, it was not me that won picks of the week. So 8 o'clock tonight, it is picks of the week and all the chaos and gossip, rumor, and innuendo and all the storylines coming from overseas. So today, noon, Super League in Turkey, and it's also being simulcast on BN Espanol. How can you get all of these things? Well, what you can do is you can go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important because it helps you, it helps us, and it helps them and continues to add to all of the countries that you may not necessarily have seen activity in, but you get the chance to now with our friends at Fanatis. You get BN, and I mean by that, you get all the BNs. So you can watch the Turkish League, you can watch the Polish League, you can watch the CAF Champions League off the African continent as that continues to go through their group stage. You get Tigo Sports, you get CATV with their games. You get a bunch of other countries in South America. You get Peru, you get Paraguay, you get Colombia, you get the LPF out of Argentina. All of that activities at one place at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You get CDO, Nuestra Tele for the fans, Liga 1 Max Pro, all the things. You get that with Fanatis. So FS2, Barbados and Mexico, the U17 qualifier tonight at 6 o'clock. ESPN Deportes, 3 o'clock, Villarreal and Espanol. And it's also on the Plus. La Liga 2, Racing Santander and Mirandes at 2:20. Fox ONE, Fox Soccer Plus have U17 qualifiers at 3 and 6. Paramount Plus has a doubleheader in Serie A, Atalanta Cremonese and Jamie Vardy at 12:30. Roma Cagliari at 2:45. Championship, Sheffield United and Middlesbrough is at 3 o'clock. Women's soccer, Fox Deportes and Fox ONE have Liga MX Femenil at 7 o'clock. And DAZN USA has the Frauen Bundesliga at noon with Cologne and SGS Essen. So tomorrow it is the return of the Libertadores. Howard Hamilton has a quick update on the first stages of the first prelims in the Libertadores. So the new Copa Libertadores show is up. You've got more U17 qualifiers. You've got Champions Cup tomorrow. It is, Premier League with Chelsea and Leeds, because remember, because of the FA Cup coming up this weekend, you've got midweek Premier League activity. So Premier League doesn't rest. FA Cup coming up this weekend. So heavy duty tomorrow. DFB Pokal is tomorrow. League One is tomorrow. U17s are tomorrow. All across the board. Scottish Premiership is tomorrow. But today it is the U17 qualifiers, Liga MX Femenil, Serie A, Championship, La Liga 2, and the Turkish League on all of your sources. But once again, remember Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer, since I'm left-handed, soccer down here. Let me check and see if there's anything other than what we've talked about news-wise before we get out of here on a Monday, and see if there's anything that we might have missed along the way. Let's recap the Premier League, just for those of you that might have missed it. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any headlines that might have we're going to talk about that on Soccer Over There tonight. Relegation battle decided by a last day no-show in the Maldives. So we'll probably talk about this, but Paul McInnes. Team failed to turn up for their last game of the year. They stayed up on goal difference. So the goal difference was 4, with the two teams that were going to figure out whether or not they were going to either stay up or go down. The Diragu Divehi Premier League, leading football competition of the Maldives, alleged one of the leading clubs sought to escape relegation by failing to turn up for a match. Green Streets beat the Drop failing to turn up for their final league match against New Radiant. Had Green Streets lost by 4 goals or more, they would have been relegated on goal difference. Under the rules of the Football Association of the Maldives, any team that failed to turn up for a match forfeit the game 2-0. And so since it was 2-0 as opposed to 4 goals or more, they stayed up. Club Valencia goes down. They haven't taken the matter lying down. They won their final match, immediately issued a statement accusing Green Streets of fixing the outcome of the match, said the behavior was disgusting and had violated the rights of Valencia and New Radiant. The Football Association of the Maldives placed Green Streets, who denied any allegations of intentionally forfeiting the game, under a transfer ban and fining the club 50,000 Maldivian rupiah. It's about 2,400 pounds. Warned the club of future conduct. If Green Streets repeats their actions, the committee has sent a warning stating they'll take even stricter measures against the club. But they did make sure that the results stood. Valencia said they did not accept FAM's verdict. Hey, FAM, yo, FAM. Club believes the decision was made to show favoritism, said Valencia, who suggests they would escalate their complaint to the Asian Football Confederation and FIFA. Lesson learned. So, yeah, change the rules if you don't like the rules. I initially thought it was 3, but apparently a forfeit is only 2. So if they'd forfeited either way, they would have stayed. It would have stayed up by 1 goal, but it's now 2 in goal difference. Yeah. Put themselves in a position to no-show. You know, you open that door, David, and you're like, you know, if we don't show up, if there's too much of us who are sick, what's a forfeit? 2. What's goal difference? 4. Yeah, I think we could play that. I mean, there's plausible deniability. Don't get me wrong. Definitely plausible deniability. Morning 4 card. Well, we're almost, yeah. Well, I mean, 2 hours. 9:05 to 11:05. But, yeah, so you kind of set yourself up for that, just a bit. So on that note, reminder, soccer over there tonight, 8 o'clock. We'll tour the planet. We'll probably talk about the Maldives and get into all of the other activity, all the stuff that happened on the weekend. And let me see. What did I miss in the Premier League? Anything from the Premier League on the weekend, just stories-wise? All right, let me check the standings real quick. Arsenal up 6. Villa 3 behind Manchester City. Manchester United's won 4 in a row. Michael Carrick is so playing himself into that gig. Chelsea's won 4 in a row. They're at 43 points. They're in 5th. Liverpool ahead of Brentford by 1 goal and goals scored. Wow. 39 points. Same +5 in goal difference. Liverpool 40 goals, Brentford 39. Everton has not lost in 5. They're at 37. Sunderland has lost 3 of 5. They're at 36. Fulham ahead of Bournemouth by 1 goal and goal difference at 34. Here's where the fun starts, in 8th, really. 8th to 14th separated by 6 points. 7 clubs, 6 points. Newcastle's 12th at 33. They've lost 3 in a row. Palace at 32. They finally won a game in their last 5. Brighton at 31. They've lost 2 of 3. They only have 3 points in their last 5 matches. Spurs and Leeds, 15th and 16th. Spurs ahead on goal difference. Forest at 26 points. Finally lost. They had a 4-game unbeaten run. They lost for the first time in 5. They're at 26. 3 points ahead of West Ham, who's won 3 of 4. Nuno may have found something. Burnley's at 15 points. They've lost 2 in a row. And Wolves have won once in 25. So that's where we are. Once again, Premier League kicks back in tomorrow. CONCACAF Champions Cup kicks back in tomorrow. Pumas and San Diego. Can San Diego hang on? We'll find out. Once again, remember, tomorrow it is Professor Brett Myers from Villanova talking about analytics and the U.S. men's national team. We'll get into his time with Toronto and Philadelphia and MLS. Apply it to Major League Soccer. We're catching up with James Donaldson tonight in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And technology permitting, we will have James to have stuff to talk about tomorrow as well. So it is Professor Brett Myers from Villanova, James Donaldson with the U17s as they get ready for their matchup. And that will be heading into the matchup to end the group stage against Dominican Republic and find out if they do qualify for the World Cup in Qatar in November. So for Bart and for Abe, oh, look out. CAF Champions League getting crazy. Final group games. Mamelodi Sundowns have to win to advance. Okay. Got to keep an eye on that. Okay. So for everybody here, thanks to Abe, thanks to Bart, thanks to y'all. And we'll be back at it again at 8 o'clock tonight for everything here when it comes to the SDH universe. Very, very busy week across the board. SDH AM is going to be stacked. Can't wait to have you to be a part of it. Thanks for dropping by on another Reaction Monday. Since it is the end of the show, means we get to do one thing. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. We'll be back at it again, 8 o'clock tonight. We'll see you in a bit.